My husband started an affair with our son's girlfriend. I'm filing for divorce. I will get my revenge and make his life a living nightmare. In this post, I'll use fictional names. I'm 41, a stay-at-home mom. My husband, let's call him Paul, is 48 and works in finance. We've been married for almost 20 years and have 2 children. Our son Eric, who's 18 and in his final year of high school, and our daughter Mary, who's 15. My children are the light of my life. Over the years, my marriage with Paul has grown dull for many reasons. His work schedule, the passing of time, and changes in both of us. Our son Eric has been dating a girl named Amy, also 18. They've been together since 9th grade. Eric is completely devoted to her. She's his first love, and I've always considered her part of our family. That's why what I've discovered is breaking my heart. Last week, I accidentally saw my husband's phone screen and noticed a message exchange between him and Amy. One message from her said, "I miss you and can't wait to do it again." I froze, unable to believe my eyes. I spent the whole day convincing myself I must have misread it. But I hadn't. Over the next few days, I found a hidden folder on my husband's computer full of explicit content. It's clear he has an addiction. Among the files were saved photos of Amy from her Instagram. She was dressed, but the fact he saved them at all confirmed I wasn't imagining things. When I got another chance to check his phone, I found even more messages. I wish I hadn't. They were filled with insults directed at me, constant comparisons between me and her. He called me old and unattractive, while Amy laughed along. I've always suspected Paul might be unfaithful, but I never imagined anything like this. A month ago, I even found underwear in our bedroom that definitely wasn't mine. I foolishly convinced myself they might belong to Mary, though that made no sense. Paul hasn't just betrayed me, he's betrayed our son. I'm horrified. There are no words for the despair, anger, and shock I feel. I don't even know how to begin dealing with this. One thing is clear, something has to change, but I'm scared. This will devastate Eric. How do I even start that conversation? I wouldn't wish this situation on anyone. It's hard to believe I once loved this man. Then I started recalling how Paul's behavior shifted around the time Amy turned 18, as if he'd been waiting until she was legally an adult. There's so much filth in this story, and I feel paralyzed by fear and disbelief. I can't understand how things got to this point. Is it really possible that I was so blind as to let all of this happen right under my nose? Eric adores Amy, and just the thought of telling him this horrible truth terrifies me. It could seriously damage his young heart and mind. My heart breaks for both Eric and Mary, who are completely innocent in all of this. I haven't confronted my husband yet because, to be honest, I'm afraid of the domino effect it could trigger. I don't even know where to start. I'm not sharing this for pity. I'm looking for understanding, maybe even solidarity, from those who have experienced betrayal on this level. Thank you for listening. As an update, my brother gave me the contact of a tough, no-nonsense lawyer, someone who's a real fighter in the courtroom. I've saved screenshots of all the messages between my husband and Amy. I was only able to recover the last 3 months of their chats from iCloud, which mostly consisted of flirting and inappropriate conversations that were still very upsetting to read. There were also many disrespectful comments about me. The call logs showed they were talking regularly for hours at a time. I found out my husband is using multiple dating apps. I took screenshots of his profiles and all his active chats. It became clear he has filters set for girls aged 18 to 22. I copied all the files from his computer. He spends time in explicit chat rooms and forums, and spends large amounts of money on platforms like OnlyFans. I searched all the hidden spots in the house and found various adult items, including blindfolds, handcuffs, lubricants, and outfits resembling a school uniform and a French-made costume. I picked up Eric and Mary from school, and we drove to my brother's place. The kids immediately sensed something was wrong. During the drive, I gently explained everything. At one point, I broke down in tears. Mary was the most furious, even more than Eric. I also met with Amy's mother and told her everything. She took Amy's phone and gave me the login information to access her messages. Again, I only found the last 3 months of messages, just like on my husband's account, as if they had both deleted everything at the same time. Amy's mother told me Amy broke down crying during their talk. She insisted her mother would never understand their relationship because they were supposedly in love. I won't go into every detail of what she said, but it became clear my husband slowly and deliberately positioned himself as a wise mentor and emotional support figure for her. He took advantage of the fact that she comes from a difficult family background. Amy keeps claiming everything remained platonic until she turned 18, that before that, he was just a friend and mentor. I later confronted Paul via Zoom. His face was frightening to look at, red, sweating, panic in his eyes, and his voice was defensive and aggressive. He kept shouting that none of it was true, stammering and speaking nonsense. I refused to tell him where we were, and he responded by saying I had no right to take the children away from him. Then he abruptly ended the Zoom call. My lawyer is filing for temporary sole custody of Mary and pursuing a restraining order. Mary is still furious. She's overwhelmed with anger at her father and Amy, and rightfully so. She's even recalled past moments when her father behaved questionably around her own friends, which now makes her feel deeply uncomfortable. Eric is clearly hurting, but he's handling everything with maturity and composure. He wants to start seeing a therapist, and the level of emotional strength both my children are showing makes me so proud. They did nothing to deserve this. We have reported everything to the appropriate authorities. I have no intention of showing the slightest leniency. I will be relentless in this divorce. I keep thinking about how Paul treated me over the years, how he slowly diminished me, made me feel worthless, and turned me into a shadow of who I used to be. I won't let this man walk away without consequences. I want to reclaim my confidence and move forward, stronger than ever. Update 2. Thank you again to everyone for your support and kind words. It truly means a lot to me. I've received many comments and messages, including some accusing me of making all this up. Strangely, that actually brings me a strange kind of comfort. This situation feels so unreal even to me, and the fact that some people find it unbelievable reinforces just how bizarre and horrifying it all is. I wish I had made it up. I've been so focused on everyone else's feelings that I forgot to check in with my own. I'm trying to change that now. My emotions swing from rage to numbness in an instant. The kids and I are safe and still living at my brother's place. We're being very cautious, and his home is well protected. Paul calls me multiple times a day, but I ignore every attempt. All communication now goes through my lawyer. To be honest, he frightens me. My brother's house has a good security system and strong locks, and we finally feel safe. Eric and I saw a doctor and got tested for STIs. The rapid results came back clear, but we're waiting on the full lab work. I'm not overly worried. Eric has an appointment with a therapist early next week, which is a great step. He really needs it. He's been emotionally distant, almost in shock, and it deeply worries me. He internalizes everything, making it hard to understand what he's really feeling. But even so, he checks in on me, asks how I'm doing, and is kind and present. He wants nothing to do with his father. Paul only calls my phone. He hasn't even tried to contact Eric or Mary directly. I have a strong feeling that Paul is extremely nervous right now. He's scared. Deep down, I think he knows that if any serious investigation begins, he'll be in serious trouble. My intuition tells me that clearly. I keep replaying that Zoom call in my head, and the more I think about it, the more convinced I am that I was looking at a man whose entire world was falling apart. The panic on his face was unmistakable. I offered to schedule a session with a therapist for Mary, but she declined for now, saying she might be open to it later. But at the moment, she just needs time to process everything alone. She's been asking her friends if they ever felt uncomfortable around her father. Their responses have been honest, and it seems Paul frequently stared at them and lingered around whenever they visited. One of Mary's friends even said she noticed him watching her, particularly inappropriately, and that once he even made a comment about the color of her leggings. At the time it didn't feel like much, but now it all takes on a much more disturbing tone. Mary's friend also mentioned he always chose to sit where he could see her clearly and often asked the girls what kind of social circles they were in, especially if they were among the more popular ones. I feel so deeply ashamed that this happened in my home. As for the update on Amy, that's actually the main reason I decided to write this. I completely agree with those who have pointed out that she too is a victim in this. I've done what I could to give her a chance to get help. As I mentioned, I told her mother everything, and she's kept me updated. Unfortunately, Amy still seems to be living in denial. I can only hope she eventually wakes up from it. She refuses to speak to any doctors or mental health professionals, and keeps trying to reach out to Paul, insisting they are in love. As far as I know, he is avoiding her completely and ignoring all attempts at contact. Amy blames me. She thinks I've taken away his devices and that I'm controlling and overreacting. Any attempt her mother makes to intervene is met with hostility. To her, I'm the villain, and Paul is still seen as the perfect man. Her mother even showed her screenshots of his dating profiles and messages with other women, but Amy refused to believe them, claiming I must have doctored the images. According to her mother, Amy says everyone is just angry because she found a real man, and that I'm simply jealous because she can care for him better than I ever did. This ties in with the messages I saved, where Paul constantly complained about what I wasn't doing for him in our relationship. Right now, Amy is convinced that she and Paul have a long-term future together. It's disheartening. He truly is manipulative. I can only hope that Amy eventually wakes up to reality. Now for my third update. Once again, I want to sincerely thank everyone for the overwhelming support. It has meant a great deal to me. Unfortunately, I've also received a number of negative, accusatory, and even insulting messages from people who think I made this all up. Someone in the comments claimed my story was debunked, and a lot of people believed it. Accusations that I fabricated this for money have increased noticeably, but I haven't asked anyone for anything. I came here in a state of emotional crisis and have nothing to gain from sharing my story. If you don't believe me, that's fine, but I ask you not to cross the line. Please don't send hateful or accusatory messages. I continue sharing only for those who've supported me. As for the divorce, it's well underway. I won't go into details since it's still in progress, but I want it to proceed as smoothly as possible. I currently have temporary custody of Mary, and Paul is required to pay temporary support. A restraining order has been issued against him, preventing him from contacting or approaching us. Right now, we're focused on navigating this legal nightmare. Again, I won't reveal specifics, but I can say we've gathered a significant amount of evidence that could have serious consequences for Paul's future. I'm confident I'll be able to share more when the time is right. I know many of you are concerned about his predatory behavior, and I want to assure you, justice will be served. Your concern for my children's emotional well-being means the world to me. Eric has already had 2 therapy sessions in the past 2 weeks. I know some people assumed I was downplaying his pain or pretending he's fine, but I'm fully aware of how much he's hurting, and we're doing everything we can to surround him with love and support. My brother has been amazing. He's spent a lot of time with both Eric and Mary, and they've opened up to him. He and his wife have a strong marriage and have been incredibly supportive during this difficult time. Mary hasn't started therapy yet, but she's promised to go soon. I've noticed her anger gradually turning into sadness, and I really hope she follows through. Her friends played a significant role in this whole situation, and it's a lot for her to process. I also understand many are concerned about Amy's condition. There were a lot of questions about whether she and Eric see each other at school. It might seem like they do, but they actually don't. They both attended the same middle school, which is how they met, but afterward Amy transferred to an all-girls Catholic high school, while Eric and Mary stayed in the public system. We all live in the same city, and they reconnected over the summer before starting high school. I wish I had better news to share about Amy, but unfortunately her situation has only worsened since my last update. Paul has apparently resumed seeing her, despite her mother's efforts to prevent it. Amy told her mom, "I'm 18, I'm an adult, I can make my own decisions." Her mother is in a very difficult position. If she kicks Amy out for not listening, and she's already threatened to do so, which I believe would be a mistake, Amy might leave for good and move in with Paul. Lately, she's been spending more and more time with him. This week alone, there were days when she was gone for hours. Sadly, there's nothing more I can do about it right now. But knowing what I know about Paul, and what's about to happen, I can only wait and hope the truth catches up to him. I still believe things can change, and I continue to hope that Amy will eventually get the help and clarity she needs when everything finally collapses. Right now, I'm focused on my children and on taking care of my own mental health. Amy's mother knows that she has my support, and maybe that's all I can offer at this point. Update 4. I'm sorry it's taken me so long to write again. I honestly didn't expect people to keep supporting me in such large numbers after all this time. Thank you all so much. I received so many messages that I physically couldn't respond to everyone, so I decided to give a full update on how things are going for me and the kids. Both Mary and Eric went through intense trauma and are still seeing therapists. It's been a full year, but the effects haven't gone away. The damage Paul left behind still shocks me. To be honest, I don't think I'll ever fully recover. Paul and Amy continued seeing each other for several months after the divorce proceedings began. I kept in touch with Amy's mom, hoping we could help Amy see Paul's inappropriate behavior and that she might speak out if anything had happened before she turned 18. But Amy didn't want to talk. She was still deeply infatuated. A few weeks before the divorce was finalized, Paul vanished. He emptied what was left in our shared accounts that I hadn't been able to freeze and disappeared. Later we learned he had bought a one-way ticket to Cambodia. I had no idea. We were almost done finalizing the divorce. I had full custody of Mary, and Paul wasn't contesting anything. Then he just stopped communicating, didn't show up in court, didn't file anything, just disappeared. According to Amy's mother, she was devastated and is now in a very unstable state. She's essentially homeless, staying at different friends' houses and refusing to go home. My lawyer filed for judgment in Paul's absence, and the court granted it. Technically, the divorce is final. I have full custody. He's not paying child support as ordered, but at this point, it doesn't matter, he's simply gone. Cambodia doesn't have an extradition treaty, there's no mechanism to enforce child support, and there's no way to compel him to return. We don't even know exactly where he is over there. Just knowing that Cambodia has a reputation as a hotspot for child exploitation chills me to the core. Eric is in college now, and has distanced himself as much as possible from anything related to Paul. He rarely speaks about it but carries himself with strength. I know he's still hurting inside, even if he doesn't show it. Mary doesn't say much either, but now and then, small details come up that she's reinterpreting with a more mature understanding. Recently she asked if I thought Paul would ever come back. I didn't answer. I don't think she expected one. Honestly, I have no idea what Paul is doing in Cambodia, who he's with, or what his life looks like now. Some people advise me to contact the FBI or try to initiate an international investigation. I've called, I've submitted everything I could, but the authorities have limited options. If no provable crime has been committed under U.S. law, there's not much they can do. I don't believe he left just to avoid paying support. I believe he's a deeply disturbed individual, and I do think he's dangerous. That's really all I have to say for now. Thank you all for your continued care and support. So before we move on to the next story, please feel free to leave your thoughts on this one. I personally don't understand why the author is attaching such extreme labels to her ex-husband, calling him dangerous or implying criminal behavior, and even talking about contacting the FBI. It's unclear what for exactly, since technically, he hasn't done anything explicitly illegal. Even if he started seeing that girl a bit early, he waited until she turned 18. Yes, it's clearly an inappropriate and morally questionable choice, especially considering he was dating his son's girlfriend, but that alone doesn't make it a crime. This is truly beyond comprehension. Yes, there was one particularly inappropriate moment involving those friends of his daughter that was clearly unacceptable. But again, simply looking at someone is not a crime. Would I personally be okay with it? Absolutely not. If I were one of those girls, I'd definitely steer clear of a guy like that. And as his wife, I would also find it deeply disturbing. Still, technically speaking, there's nothing illegal about it. I guess I should brace myself for backlash in the comments. And with that, let's move on to the next story. Story 2. I think my husband cheated on me. This may have been going on for a while, but it just became clear to me yesterday. I'm 38, my husband is 40, and we've been together for 17 years, almost 15 of them married. We have 5 children. Our relationship has always been wonderful. He's an amazing husband and father, supports the family, cares for my emotional and physical needs, makes sure our life together is full of fun and joy. He constantly showers me with affection, often brings me flowers, everything I ever dreamed of. I try to be the most loving and kind wife I can be. I always tell him how much I love and appreciate him. But yesterday morning, I saw 2 messages on his phone from a woman whose name I didn't recognize. Both messages said, "Come and get it, you'll be surprised," and had red heart emojis. I was so shocked and devastated that I didn't say a word. I pretended everything was fine. I didn't have a chance to check his phone further because he left for work almost immediately. He came home about an hour later than usual and said he'd been stuck in traffic, but I had been tracking his location. He had stopped in an unfamiliar neighborhood and stayed there for around 30 minutes. I truly believed everything was fine between us, so it's heartbreaking to even consider the possibility that he might be cheating. But the signs are there, and I can't stop thinking about it. Last night we watched a movie together, and today we went to the beach with the kids and some friends, but I still can't get it out of my head. He has a wife and 5 wonderful kids who love him. I just don't understand how he could risk all of that. How do I find out the truth? Commentary: you really just need to talk to him. Maybe there's a logical explanation. I'm terrified the truth might be exactly what you suspect, but if he's innocent and you confront him as if he's guilty, it could damage the relationship and the blame could fall on you. Right now, your only evidence is 2 messages. It's not much. What if he was coordinating a surprise or gift for you with a colleague or acquaintance, and you assume the worst? Healthy, open communication is what truly strengthens a marriage. If you can't simply sit down next to your partner and say, "Hey, I wasn't snooping through your phone, but I happened to see these messages, and they raised some concerns. Can we talk about it?" then your relationship might not be as solid as you think. Update: well, everything is fine between us. Just to be clear, there wasn't any concrete evidence of infidelity. My husband has remained emotionally present in our relationship. We have an active, intimate life, and he's just as loving and attentive as ever. He doesn't hide his phone or disappear without explanation. After the birth of our youngest child, I developed issues with eating habits and gained around 16 kilograms over 2 years. That period was very hard on my self-esteem, confidence, and on our physical intimacy. But for nearly a year now, I've been getting up early with my husband to work out, watching my diet, and cooking healthier meals for the family. I've lost about 7 kilograms so far. Through it all, he's been incredibly supportive and affectionate. My confidence has improved, and our intimate life is better than it's been in years, but I still sometimes feel insecure, especially since my husband has also become more fit and focused on his health. To the point, I'm not good at lying or hiding things from him, so I couldn't follow the reverse psychology advice some people gave me. Last night, after the kids went to bed, I told him directly that I'd seen the messages on his phone and had tracked his location. I asked for an explanation. He laughed at first, thinking I was joking, but when I started crying and said I needed the truth, he became serious. He said we needed to go outside because he had something to show me. He opened the trunk of the car and pulled out a package. Inside was a photo album, a timeline of our life together, and with the kids over the past 15 years. It was meant to be a surprise gift for our upcoming anniversary. The messages were from a colleague whose husband makes custom photo albums for special occasions. My husband had been working with her to design a personalized album. On Friday night, he stopped by their place to pick it up. The red heart emojis? She apparently adds those to every message by habit. He showed me the full message history, including the exact ones I had seen. Nothing had been deleted. He even joked that I had ruined the surprise. We stayed up late flipping through the album and reminiscing about our life together. All I can say is that I'm deeply grateful for my husband. Top comments. Moral of the story: maybe don't always listen to us armchair experts. This time, everything turned out okay. You should leave him. Oh wait, sorry, that's just muscle memory.so. That's it. A surprisingly wholesome story for our channel, if you ask me. Usually, when we sense infidelity coming, it turns out to be real. But not this time. Thanks for watching to the end. Check out our previous video here. Hope you enjoyed this one, featuring 2 stories about suspected and 1 actual infidelity. Good luck.